Ravi moved into a small town called Greenridge after saving for many years. He bought a peaceful house on the edge of the neighborhood, surrounded by tall trees and a quiet road. The house stood on a large piece of land that once belonged to a farmer, and Ravi loved how open and free it felt. For the first few weeks, everything was calm. Birds sang in the morning, and the breeze carried the smell of pine trees. Ravi worked from home and often took small breaks to walk around his land, checking the fence and the garden. He planned to grow vegetables and plant flowers near the porch. One afternoon, while he was measuring an area to build a small shed, a woman in a bright red jacket stopped her car near his gate. She stepped out, holding a clipboard and wearing a frown that seemed permanent. "Excuse me," she said loudly. "You can't be doing that here." Ravi looked up in confusion. "Doing what?" "Building anything without HOA approval," she said. "This area is managed by the Greenridge Homeowners Association." "I'm Karen, the president." Ravi blinked. "I'm sorry, but I'm not part of your HOA. My property is outside the line." Karen shook her head. "All the homes on this road follow the same rules. You need permission before making changes." Ravi took out a folder from his car and showed her the property map he had received from the town office. It clearly showed that his land was outside the HOA boundary, but Karen refused to look. "I know what the map says," she said firmly, "but rules are rules. You still need to stop." Ravi sighed and tried to stay calm. "Ma'am, I think you're mistaken. This land was part of the old Miller farm, not the HOA section. I already checked with the town clerk before buying." Karen crossed her arms. "We'll see about that. Don't make any changes until I confirm." She took a picture of him standing by the fence and walked away. Ravi stood there for a long time, unsure whether to laugh or be angry. He decided to continue his work the next day. The following morning, Ravi found a yellow notice taped to his mailbox. It said he was violating HOA rules by making unauthorized property changes. He frowned, realizing Karen had not listened at all. Ravi went straight to the town office. The clerk, an older man named Ben, checked the records and laughed. "Your property is free land, son. The HOA has no control over it. If anyone says otherwise, send them here." Feeling relieved, Ravi returned home and removed the notice. But just as he was about to go inside, he saw Karen again. This time she had two men with her carrying cameras. "Ravi, you're trespassing on HOA land," she said in a serious tone. "We have witnesses." Ravi was shocked. "This is my land. I just checked with the town office." Karen smirked. "You can say what you want, but we'll handle this our way." The two men began taking pictures of his yard, fence, and driveway. Ravi felt frustration growing inside him. "I think you should leave," he said calmly. "You have no right to be here." Karen gave a fake smile. "We'll see what the board says." When she left, Ravi knew this was only the beginning of a strange battle. That evening, as the sun set behind the trees, he looked at his quiet house and thought about how peaceful it had been just a week ago, how that peace was being disturbed by a woman who didn't even own the land she was fighting over. Ravi promised himself that he would not let anyone bully him off his own property. Ravi woke up early the next morning. The air was cool and fresh, and a golden light spread across the trees. He hoped the strange problem with Karen would end soon. He wanted to focus on his work and his garden, not arguments with neighbors. He made tea and sat on his porch listening to birds. For a short while, peace returned. Around mid-morning, he went outside to continue building the wooden shed. He measured the ground again and marked the area with small flags. But when he looked toward the road, his heart sank. Karen was standing near his mailbox again, talking to another woman. They both looked toward him while pointing at his property. Ravi took a deep breath and decided to stay calm. He walked toward them and spoke in a polite tone. "Good morning, can I help you with something?" Karen turned sharply. "You can help by stopping that project until we finish our investigation." Ravi frowned. "Investigation? What are you talking about?" Karen lifted a folder in her hand. "The HOA board has decided to review the boundary records. Until we get an answer, you are not allowed to build anything here." Ravi tried not to laugh. "You don't have authority over this land. I already confirmed that with the town office. My property is not part of the HOA." The other woman, who introduced herself as Donna, spoke softly. "Karen, maybe we should wait for the town's answer. He seems sure about it." Karen gave her a sharp look. "Donna, we cannot allow rule breaking. If one person ignores our rules, others will follow. Then our whole neighborhood will fall apart. Ravi saw how much control Karen liked to have. She wasn't listening to reason. She simply wanted to show power. I respect your concern, he said firmly. But please don't put any more notices on my land. If you have a problem, contact the town clerk. Karen's face turned red. We'll see what the law says about this, she replied and walked away. Later that day, Ravi noticed 3 new signs on his fence. Each sign said no trespassing, HOA property. His anger grew. Those signs made it look like he was on someone else's land. He carefully removed them and kept them inside his garage as evidence. That evening, his friend Amir stopped by to help him with the shed. When Amir saw the signs, he laughed in disbelief. She really did this? That's crazy. You have the papers showing it's your land. Yes, Ravi said, shaking his head. She won't stop. I feel like she's trying to push me out. Amir nodded. She probably wants to scare you, but don't let her. People like her think they can control everything. Ravi smiled slightly. I won't give up. I'll handle it the right way. 2 days later, things got worse. When Ravi returned home from the market, he saw a letter taped to his door. It was from the HOA board. The letter said that he was being fined for unauthorized construction and damage to HOA property. The amount was large, and the letter warned that legal action might follow if he refused to pay. Ravi's hands shook slightly as he read it. He knew it was unfair, but he also knew he needed to stay smart. Instead of arguing directly, he went back to the town office with all his papers. Ben, the town clerk, looked surprised. They fined you? That's nonsense, Ben said. Your land is completely outside their jurisdiction. I'll prepare an official statement from the town confirming that. By afternoon, Ravi had the signed statement and an updated property map. He made copies and placed one in his mailbox for Karen. He also sent one to the HOA address printed on the letter. That night, he hoped the problem would finally end. But the next morning, Karen returned with 2 men wearing HOA badges. They stopped in front of his gate and started taking photos again. Ravi went outside to talk to them. Good morning, he said, holding the town's letter. This document clearly shows that my property is not part of your HOA. I suggest you read it. Karen ignored the paper and spoke loudly. You are making a big mistake, Ravi. We are documenting everything. The board will take serious action. One of the men looked uncomfortable. He whispered something to Karen, but she waved her hand and kept talking. You will regret ignoring HOA authority. Ravi placed the letter on his fence so they could see the town's seal and signature. This comes directly from the town office, he said. If you continue to harass me, I'll report you for trespassing. Karen froze for a moment, but then she smirked. You can try, she said before walking away again. Ravi felt tired and frustrated. He had always imagined a quiet life in this place, yet now he was in a strange fight he never asked for. The next few days passed in silence, but he noticed something strange. Some neighbors stopped waving at him. Others looked away when he walked by. One even crossed the street instead of passing near his yard. It became clear that Karen had been spreading rumors. Amir visited again and noticed the tension. They think you did something wrong? Yes, Ravi said. She told everyone I'm trying to take HOA land. Amir frowned. Then you should show them proof. Maybe call a small meeting and explain everything. Ravi thought about it. He did not like arguments, but he also didn't want to live under false judgment. The next weekend, he invited a few neighbors for tea. He showed them the property map and the official town statement. The neighbors looked surprised. One of them, a middle-aged man named Greg, apologized. Karen told us your fence was on HOA property. I had no idea she was lying, Ravi smiled. I just want peace. I have no problem with anyone. I only want to take care of my land. By the end of the meeting, most of the neighbors understood. Some even promised to talk to Karen about her behavior. Ravi felt a small sense of relief, but he knew Karen would not give up so easily. That night, as the wind blew through the trees, Ravi noticed flashing lights near his fence. He went outside and saw a small camera fixed on a pole pointing at his yard. Someone had installed it secretly. He removed it carefully and placed it beside the warning signs in his garage. He now had enough proof that the HOA, led by Karen, was crossing the line. He sat on the porch thinking about what to do next. He could file a complaint or he could wait and watch. For now, he decided to stay patient. He believed that truth always wins, even when lies spread faster. As he looked at the quiet road, he felt both determined and calm. The fight for his land was not over, but he would not step back. Karen had turned this into a battle of pride, but Ravi was fighting for justice. The stars above shone bright as if promising that one day the truth would shine too. A week passed, and Ravi's patience began to run thin. Every day he found new signs near his land, new rumors in the neighborhood, and new attempts by Karen to make him look like a troublemaker. Still, he stayed calm. He collected every paper, every sign, and every photo as evidence. He kept all of it in a big brown folder labeled HOA issue. He knew that at some point, truth would need to be shown not through arguments but through proof. One morning, as he was watering the plants near the porch, he saw a small group of people standing near Karen's house. They seemed to be having a meeting. Karen stood at the center, speaking loudly, holding some papers in her hand. Ravi could not hear her clearly, but he knew she was talking about him. A few minutes later, one of the neighbors, Greg, came to his gate. "Ravi," he said softly, "you should know something. Karen told everyone that the HOA is planning to file a report against you. She says you are damaging common property, but I looked it up. There is no record of your land being common property. I think she's just trying to scare you." Ravi thanked him. "I appreciate you telling me, Greg. I will take care of it the right way." Greg nodded. "Be careful. She has friends on the HOA board, but many of us are getting tired of her behavior." After Greg left, Ravi went inside and called the town office. Ben, the clerk, answered the phone. Ravi, I was waiting to hear from you. I have some news. The mayor's office has received multiple complaints about this HOA. You're not the only one having problems with them." Ravi was surprised. "Really? I thought I was the only one." "No," Ben said. "They've been sending notices to people who are not even in their boundary. Some residents are angry. If you bring your documents here, we can arrange a meeting with the legal department. They might take action." That afternoon, Ravi packed all his papers, including the photos of the signs and the camera he found. When he reached the town office, Ben introduced him to a woman named Clara, who worked in the legal section. She was calm, professional, and very focused. Clara listened carefully to Ravi's story. She looked through his documents one by one. Then she said, "This is strong evidence. They have no right to fine you or enter your land. We will send an official notice to the HOA, demanding they stop all contact with you." Ravi felt relief for the first time in many days. He thanked Clara and Ben and went back home. 2 days later, a letter arrived. It was from the town office, addressed to both Ravi and the HOA. It stated that Ravi's property was outside HOA control and that any further harassment would be considered a legal violation. Ravi smiled when he read it. He knew Karen would not like this letter. That evening, as he sat on his porch, he saw Karen walking toward his gate holding the letter in her hand. She looked furious. Her face was red and her voice was sharp when she spoke. "So this is your doing," she said. "You went to the town and complained about me." Ravi stood up calmly. "I went to the town because you kept harassing me. You placed signs, cameras, and false notices on my property." Karen raised her voice. "You think this piece of paper will save you? We have been running this HOA for 10 years. You can't destroy our rules just like that." Ravi took a deep breath. "I don't want to destroy anything. I just want peace. My land is not under your rules. That's all." Karen threw the letter on the ground and walked away, muttering under her breath. Ravi did not respond. He picked up the letter, cleaned it, and placed it back inside his folder. The next morning, something unexpected happened. Several neighbors came to visit him. They had received copies of the same official letter from the town. Many of them were shocked to learn that their properties were also not part of the HOA, even though they had been paying fees for years. Greg spoke first. "I had no idea I wasn't under HOA control. Karen made us all believe we had to follow her rules." Donna nodded. "She told us we couldn't park on our own driveways without her permission. We thought she was right, but now I see she was just controlling everything." Ravi listened quietly as the group discussed their frustration. Soon they decided to visit the town office together to confirm their property lines. By evening, the truth began to spread around Greenridge. People who had once followed Karen without question started to ask for proof of her authority. They wanted to see official records, not just her word. Karen tried to calm them down. She called for an emergency HOA meeting and stood in front of the crowd in the small park. "Do not believe those letters," she said loudly. "It's just confusion. The town office made a mistake. We are still in control here. But this time the crowd was not silent. Greg spoke up. If it's a mistake, show us the proof. Show us the boundary papers. Karen hesitated. Those documents are private. The board keeps them secure. Another neighbor said, if they are private, then how do we know you are telling the truth? Karen looked uneasy. She had always used confidence and fear to keep control, but now the same people she once controlled were questioning her. At that moment, Ravi arrived with Clara from the town office. Clara stepped forward and raised her voice. Good evening, everyone. I am here from the town's legal department. I can confirm that several properties in this area, including Mr. Ravi's, are not under HOA jurisdiction. We have reviewed the official boundary maps. The crowd murmured in surprise. Some people clapped, others nodded. Karen's face turned pale. She tried to argue, but Clara continued. Any further attempt to collect fees or issue fines to those properties will be considered an offense. Karen looked around and saw her control fading away. That night, Greenridge changed. People who had feared the HOA for years finally felt free. They started to talk openly, sharing how Karen had forced them to follow unnecessary rules. Some even stopped paying HOA fees until proper clarification was given. As for Ravi, he finally felt peace returning. He sat on his porch sipping tea while the stars twinkled above. For the first time in weeks, no one came to his gate with threats or false claims. He smiled, knowing that truth had begun to win. Still deep inside, he had a feeling that Karen would not give up so easily. He had seen the anger in her eyes. He knew she would try one more time to regain control. But this time he was ready. He had the law on his side, the town's support, and now even his neighbors understood the truth. The quiet night brought him calmness. The leaves rustled gently, and a faint breeze carried the sound of freedom across the land that was truly his. The next week in Greenridge felt different. The air felt lighter, and people who once looked down when Karen passed now looked her straight in the eyes. Many had stopped paying their HOA fees until things were clarified. The town office had also started an official review of the HOA's documents. For the first time in years, Karen's control was slipping away. Ravi spent his days repairing his shed and planting new flowers. He finally had peace, at least for a while. He still kept the brown folder with all his evidence inside a drawer in his study. He knew it was not over yet. Something told him that Karen would not accept defeat easily. That feeling turned out to be right. On a windy morning, Ravi heard the sound of heavy vehicles near his gate. When he stepped outside, he saw a truck carrying wooden boards and paint buckets. Behind it stood Karen and two men from the HOA board. She was holding papers again, and her face was full of fake confidence. What is this? Ravi asked firmly. Karen smiled coldly. We are repairing the fence that separates HOA property from yours. It is our boundary, not yours. You built your fence on our land. Ravi walked closer and said calmly, I already showed proof that this is my land. You are breaking the law by doing this. Karen waved her papers in the air. We have our own survey reports. The town must have made a mistake. Ravi crossed his arms. If you really believe that, call the town officer. I will not let you touch my fence without legal permission. Karen ignored him and ordered the men to start unloading the boards. But before they could begin, a familiar car pulled up. It was Clara from the town office along with a police officer. The officer stepped forward. What is going on here? Ravi quickly explained the situation. Clara showed the officer the official boundary documents. After a short inspection, the officer turned to Karen. Ma'am, the town records show that this fence belongs to Mr. Ravi. You and your workers need to leave this property immediately. Karen's face turned pale. But we have our own report, she said weakly. The officer replied, Then you can file it with the court. Until that happens, you have no authority here. The men hesitated for a moment, then began loading the boards back into the truck. Karen glared at Ravi but said nothing. As the truck drove away, Clara turned to Ravi and said softly, I think this might be the last time she tries something like this. The mayor is planning a full audit of the HOA. They have been misusing their power. Ravi thanked her. You have helped me more than I can say. I just wanted peace, not trouble. Clara smiled. Sometimes standing for peace means standing against people like her. You did the right thing. Over the next few days, news spread quickly. The town's investigation revealed that Karen and her board had been collecting fees from several homes that were not part of the HOA. They had also used HOA funds for personal expenses. The town suspended the HOA's authority until the review was complete. Many neighbors came to thank Ravi. They said that if he had not stood up, they would never have known the truth. Greg even brought his family to visit and helped Ravi paint his new shed. For the first time since moving to Greenridge, Ravi felt like he truly belonged. But Karen was not ready to disappear quietly. One night, Ravi noticed movement near his driveway. He turned on the porch light and saw Karen standing near the fence again. She was alone this time, holding a flashlight and a folder. Ravi walked toward her slowly. "Karen, what are you doing here?" She looked tired and angry. "You destroyed everything," she said. "I built this neighborhood. I kept it clean and safe, and you came here and turned everyone against me." Ravi shook his head. "I did not turn anyone against you. People just learned the truth. You took money from families who trusted you." Karen's eyes were wet, but her voice stayed hard. "They needed order. I gave them that. Without me, this place will fall apart," Ravi replied. "A community does not fall apart when people are free. It grows stronger." For a moment, Karen said nothing. The silence stretched between them. Then she turned and walked away without another word. The next morning, news spread that Karen had resigned from her position. The remaining members of the HOA board had agreed to dissolve the organization completely. The town office announced that each homeowner would now manage their own property directly. Many people celebrated quietly, happy that they would no longer face unfair rules. Later that day, Ravi received a letter from the mayor's office, thanking him for his cooperation during the investigation. It said that his patience and documentation had helped uncover years of wrongdoing. He smiled while reading it and placed the letter inside his folder, which he now labeled "Case Closed." As evening came, Ravi sat on his porch watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of gold and orange. The wind was gentle and the trees swayed softly. For the first time in months, he felt no tension in his chest. Amir arrived with 2 cups of tea. "So it's finally over," he said with a smile. "Yes," Ravi said. "It's peaceful now." Amir sat beside him. "You know, you could have moved away. Many people would have given up. But you stayed and fought the right way." Ravi nodded. "Running away never solves the problem. The truth always finds a way to shine." As they talked, a few children played near the road, laughing and chasing each other. Their parents waved from a distance. The neighborhood was finally becoming what Ravi had imagined when he first moved there, peaceful and free. That night, as the stars appeared one by one, Ravi walked along the fence line. He ran his hand over the wooden boards he had built with care. This land had caused him trouble, but it had also taught him patience, courage, and strength. He looked toward the other side where Karen's house stood dark and quiet. He did not feel anger anymore. He only hoped she would learn something from all this. Maybe one day she would understand that power built on fear never lasts. When he returned to his porch, the night was silent except for the soft sound of crickets. He took a deep breath and smiled. He had fought for his land, but more than that, he had fought for fairness. The next morning, the town's newsletter announced that Greenridge would hold a community gathering to celebrate the end of the HOA and the beginning of a new, open neighborhood association where every voice mattered. Ravi was asked to give a small speech. When the day arrived, people gathered in the park. There were tables with food, children running around, and laughter in the air. Ravi stood on the small stage and spoke from his heart. "I moved here because I love the peace in nature," he said. "At first I faced problems I never expected, but this community showed strength and unity. We learned that honesty is more powerful than control. I'm proud to live among people who stood for what is right." The crowd clapped warmly. Some people cheered his name. Ravi felt shy but happy. For the first time, Greenridge was not divided by fear. It was united by truth. As the sun set that evening, the lights around the park glowed softly. Ravi looked around at his neighbors, smiling and talking freely. He knew that this was how life was meant to be. Peaceful, honest, and fair. The fight was over, and the land was truly his, not just by law but by the trust of those around him. After the HOA was dissolved, life in Greenridge began to change. The streets felt calmer, the neighbors friendlier, and the tension that had lingered for months finally disappeared. Ravi woke up early that morning, breathing in the crisp air. For the first time in a long time, he felt the freedom to enjoy his land without worry. He walked around his property, inspecting the garden and the small wooden shed he had built. Everything looked perfect. The flowers he had planted were blooming, and the trees swayed gently in the breeze. Ravi smiled to himself. He had finally achieved what he had dreamed of when he first moved here, a peaceful home surrounded by nature. Ravi's neighbors had also started taking care of their properties with new energy. Without the strict rules of the HOA, people felt encouraged to make improvements in plant gardens. Some families built small benches and swings for their children. The streets no longer felt quiet in a lonely way. They now had life and laughter. One morning, Ravi's friend Amir came by carrying 2 cups of tea. "I never thought I would see this day," Amir said. "The neighborhood feels alive again." Ravi nodded. "It does. People finally understand that control does not make a community. Trust and freedom do." Amir looked around and smiled. "And you, Ravi, showed everyone how to stand up with patience and proof instead of anger." "That made the biggest difference." Ravi laughed softly. "I just wanted peace. I did not want a battle. But sometimes truth has to be defended." As the days passed, Ravi's life settled into a happy routine. He spent mornings in the garden, afternoons working on small projects around the house, and evenings on the porch watching the sunset. The quiet joy he felt was unlike anything he had experienced before. One afternoon, a group of neighbors came to Ravi's gate. They were carrying gardening tools, paintbrushes, and seeds. "Ravi," Greg said, "we want to start a small community garden on the open land near the park. Will you help us?" Ravi's eyes lit up. "Of course. That sounds wonderful." Together, they spent the next few days preparing the soil, planting vegetables, and arranging flower beds. Children ran around helping water the plants. The laughter and chatter made Ravi feel a sense of belonging that he had longed for. Even Karen's house was quieter. She had left the neighborhood a few weeks earlier, after the town's investigation revealed her misuse of HOA funds. Most of the neighbors agreed that it was better for the community that she was gone. Ravi did not feel happy about her leaving, but he understood that her actions had caused too much disruption. Peace required fairness, and Karen's control had been unfair. One evening, Ravi received a call from Clara at the town office. "Ravi," she said, "I wanted to tell you officially that the HOA is permanently dissolved. No one will have authority over your land except you and the other property owners. Your patience and evidence helped everyone in the neighborhood." Ravi smiled. "Thank you, Clara. You helped more than you know. I just wanted what was right." "Sometimes what is right is also the hardest to achieve," Clara said. "But you did it with respect and calm. That made all the difference." After hanging up, Ravi felt a deep sense of satisfaction. He knew that he had not only defended his own land, but had also helped the community reclaim fairness and freedom. The days turned into weeks, and Ravi's property became a symbol of patience, courage, and truth. People often stopped by to ask for advice about their own gardens or small improvements. He shared his knowledge generously, enjoying the sense of connection he had with his neighbors. One Saturday, the community decided to organize a small festival to celebrate the new freedom. There were tables with homemade food, games for children, and music played on a small speaker. Everyone contributed something. Ravi helped by setting up chairs and arranging flower pots around the park. During the festival, Greg stood next to Ravi and whispered, "Look at all this. It feels like a new beginning." Ravi nodded, smiling. "It is a new beginning. We have learned that rules are important, but only when they are fair. Freedom and trust are even more important." As the sun began to set, Ravi stepped onto a small platform and addressed the gathering. "Thank you all for being here today," he said. "We have faced challenges together, and we have learned that honesty and patience always win. Let us continue to care for our land and each other. Let this neighborhood be a place of trust, respect, and freedom." The crowd clapped and cheered. Children ran through the flower beds, adults shared stories and laughed, and the feeling of community filled the air. Ravi looked around and felt proud, not because of what he had done alone, but because everyone had come together to make things better. That night, as Ravi returned home, he walked along the fence he had built and placed the last flower pot on the corner. The wind was gentle, carrying the sound of leaves rustling and the faint laughter of children playing. He stopped and looked at the sky, which was painted in deep orange and purple. The stars were beginning to appear, shining brightly. Ravi realized that his land had given him more than just space. It had taught him courage, patience, and the importance of standing up for what is right. It had also shown him the power of community, when people come together for justice and fairness. Over the following months, the neighborhood continued to improve. People planted more gardens, fixed fences, and shared tools and advice. Children played safely in the open spaces. Families no longer felt the fear of unnecessary rules or unfair fines. Greenridge had become a true community where everyone had a voice. Ravi often invited neighbors to his porch in the evenings. They shared stories, sipped tea, and enjoyed the quiet happiness that had once seemed impossible. Sometimes they would look at the stars together, talking about their hopes for the future. Even though Karen was gone, Ravi did not feel bitterness. He only felt gratitude for the lessons he had learned and the peaceful life he had built. The past troubles had taught him to stay calm, to use evidence instead of anger, and to believe in fairness. One morning, Ravi walked around his land looking at the flowers, the shed, and the newly planted trees. He smiled, knowing that this was the life he had worked for. The air was clean, the sun warm, and the birds sang freely. This land was his, and it was finally safe, peaceful, and full of life. In the evenings, Ravi continued to watch the sunset from his porch. The quiet streets, happy neighbors, and healthy gardens reminded him every day that truth and patience could overcome fear and control. Greenridge was no longer a place of tension and false rules. It had become a neighborhood of trust, freedom, and unity. Ravi often thought about the long journey that had started with Karen's false accusations. He realized that challenges could teach valuable lessons. Courage, patience, and fairness were the tools that helped him win, and they could help anyone who faced injustice. As the seasons changed, Ravi continued to care for his land. He planted new trees in spring, harvested vegetables in summer, and decorated the garden in autumn. Winter brought quiet snow that covered the land like a soft blanket. Every season reminded him that life, like the land, grew stronger when cared for with patience and honesty. Ravi knew that he had created more than just a home. He had created a safe, fair, and peaceful place where families could live without fear, where children could play freely, and where neighbors could trust one another. Greenridge had changed for the better, and he had played an important role in that transformation. And as he sat on his porch one quiet evening, watching the stars and feeling the gentle breeze, Ravi smiled. He had faced challenges, he had stayed calm, and he had fought for what was right. The land was his, the neighborhood was free, and peace had finally returned. Ravi took a deep breath, feeling complete happiness. The fight was over. The HOA was gone, and the community could finally enjoy the life they deserved. He knew that the lessons he had learned here would stay with him forever. He had not just defended a piece of land. He had defended fairness, truth, and trust. For Ravi, life in Greenridge was no longer just about owning land. It was about living with integrity, helping the community, and enjoying the quiet happiness of a place where everyone could thrive. He had won more than a dispute. He had won peace, respect, and a sense of belonging that he would cherish forever.